Well, hey,
And
hey,
today you're not wearing anything shiny. I wore this because of you.
wow.
I listened to that your
Very,
talk
that's a
with.
very good
Oh,
one. Very
jeez.
good one.
I've been
Wade is
casted.
at Reink Nigeria on Twitter. By the way, if you'd like to see what Mazino is putting on today, you might want to go to our WhatsApp status. His picture is on there. And then we have the Mr. C. Mr. C, good morning.
Good morning, Naya. Good morning, Zeno.
Good
Good
morning,
morning,
Mr. C.
Ode. Good morning, Lagos.
Fantastic. Mr. C is at D, that's letter D, Mr. C on Twitter. Please follow them and engage with them online. For us, you can follow us on Smooth 981 FM. Use the hashtag freshlypressed981. We're live on YouTube as well. Join us there. Smooth 981 FM Lagos is our YouTube channel. Subscribe. And of course, our WhatsApp number is 0809
All right, Wade, no rest for you as I come straight to you for the first story here from the Daily Times newspaper. The federal government here saying insecurity, why Buhari will not resign. This is actually Lai Mohammed himself. Following repeated demands for the resignation of the president, the key opposition figure and the People's Democratic Party in recent times have asked the presidency, insisted that the presidency will not vacate his seat before 2023 expiration date. Lai Mohammed noting that the president has a mandate of Nigerians to preside over the affairs of the country till 2023. And there's been so many talk about his resignation. They noted that if you're going to treat this situation, you must go for the head, and that's why they're going straight for the president, saying you have to resign due to the insecurity we're experiencing.
I really don't understand why everybody's clamoring for the man to resign. The man actually does have a mandate, and for me, the reasons I say this are quite simple. If you believe the man hasn't met things or done the things he's expected to do as a president, there is a process for taking him out. He's not clamoring on the pages of the newspapers to tell us that he should resign. If you believe that there is so much insecurity and this insecurity is a breach of his what's it called, of his duties, then go through the process of impeaching the man. Let's stop this newspaper clamor. Oh, the man
Public
must
jury.
Yeah, the man must resign because the insecurity is high. In as much as I believe that the service chiefs, that's my opinion, have not performed to expectation, the man also has the right to retain who he believes is working for him as the service chiefs. And if the National Assembly believes that these people are not working up to expectations, then they should have a one-on-one discussion with him and spell out the things that he needs to do. So this clamor on the pages, like you said, the public jury telling us that the president should resign, I personally do not think that's the right way to go. The best way to go is go through the proper political process, which is impeaching the president. And if you think that breach of security is high on that scale of his inefficiencies, then go through the due process. Go to the Senate, go to the National Assembly, and put that process in place.
All right, so are there a few things I'd just like to mention? When you say that due process, in other parts of the world and even in the private sector, particularly in public service, actually, when you're not meeting expectations, particularly when you're not, particularly something as sensitive as security, usually the onus on you or the honorable thing to do would be to resign. So I'm just addressing the part as to why it might not always
Not
be through
I
impeachment.
not for the president. The man who is in charge, the Minister of Defense, the ministry that is supposed to ensure that security is. If you are not meeting the expectations, you will
Who is the
resign.
commander in chief of the armed forces?
He is the commander
Who
in
is the
chief.
chief executive?
He is the chief executive. However, there are people who have been appointed, and that's why I said I don't believe that the service chiefs are doing the right thing, my opinion. But if the president believes that these guys are doing what he expects them to do, then what you should push for more, which is what you should be clamoring for, is change the service chiefs.
To your point on that, that the service chiefs are not doing their jobs, it would seem, and the argument is that there has been no expression from the president himself querying their job, saying, okay, perhaps maybe this and this could be done much better, or even maybe restructuring it to see whether we can have a much more efficient system.
Yeah.
This could be what the opposition is looking at and saying, okay, so since you're not doing this, you're not doing your job, so perhaps we'll come for your office then.
Besides, let me just point out that the call for the sacking of the, or not sacking, but the retirement of the service chief,
or the changes in the service
yes,
chiefs.
it's not only because they're not performing, it's that they have a 5-year tenure, which they have exceeded, and so people are asking that it should.
It's about
You know,
time,
yeah,
perhaps.
it's
So
time
let the
for
National
positioning.
Assembly do its work. It's a simple thing. That's why you have the three arms of government: the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. So
Well, I
let the
bet you
National Assembly do its work.
we're gonna read it in their new magazine, the Green Notes. Is it called the Green?
The Green Review.
Chamber, Green Review or something?
All right. Alao in traffic says, can the Senate make moves to sack the service chiefs? And then Steve Obiako says, the call for the president to resign is just to demarcate the APC government at the center, which is a form of opposition exercise. Everyone knows that nobody resigns in Nigeria, let alone the president.
Alrighty. Remember now, 08094440981 is where you can send in WhatsApp messages and get up on our Twitter. We're at Smooth91FM. Leave a comment on there. Moving on to the next story. New Telegraph here. Uwadi still on you. How we intend to utilize 500 million naira loan. Come on, hero. Come on, hero. It is not just for the NTA, is what the Ministry of Information and Culture, Minister of Information and Culture is saying. Alhaji Lai Mohammed has clarified that it is not just for the use of the NTA to bring it up to standards to compete with the likes of CNN. In a media briefing, he said that there are three major projects, one of which is, let me see if I can find it, to construct the headquarters complex and transmission network for integrated television services, ITS, in Abuja. And he also says to build an ultra-modern media city in Ikorodu. That one I would really love to see. And also the acquisition of digital movie production equipment for rental, as well as power systems. That's three major projects. So, Wadi, what do you think?
You know, my knowledge of project management clearly tells me one thing: when you want to borrow money or you want to source for funds to what's it called, to carry out a project, then you must do all the viabilities and all the feasibilities to ensure that these things will make money or generate the monies that are going to pay back for that loan. $500 million is a lot of money, and if one of the things you want to put it into is to build the new what's it called, the new headquarters,
Infrastructure,
infrastructure, it's amazing. All the buildings that are owned by NTA all over Nigeria,
wouldn't they suffice?
exactly. So why not use this monies to and it's fine what you want to do. You want to build a cinema house. Everybody in Nigeria, or everybody in Nigeria generally, everybody tends to go with the bandwagon. So movies are the new things now. Now, in terms of the equipment and all, and I do agree that they should spend money on bringing in high quality equipment for them to be able to generate money. But you need to be sure that this equipment will be available as at when due, and it's not going to be based on political premises of who you rent it out to or not. And so those are the things. They've not clearly articulated, or he has just said all the things they're going to use this monies for, but they should clearly articulate how these things are going to be put into it, how long they're going to take. It's not for us to take 500 million today and then 3 years down the line the government is gone and then everybody comes back like typical the white elephant project, and then it goes down a snake hole. The snake might have swallowed the monies again and nobody sees it.
I don't know. Everything that he stated here, everything seemed a bit traditional to me. And while inside of the article he berated social media for hyper, what was that word, sensationalism and disinformation, I also wanted to note that perhaps maybe there should be a bit of focus to social media as a means of information and also building infrastructure for that, because most information that you hear these days come in digest forms. It's the CNN want to compete with. Before you actually go see it on CNN, it's reached your phone in a digest package and you've already consumed that. And then you go for the true
maybe
story.
part of the digital equipment will focus on that, and that's why I say we all come out and make general statements about all those things that we want to do. Transparency must always be the key word. If you know these are the things that you're going to do, put out a proper project paper and let everybody read it, and everybody can see and monitor. Let the public
Or even
monitor these things.
criticize so that you make it even better.
and make it even better. So at the end of the day, for me, it's just the general things as usual. Oh, we want to build a spark that
Voice
would-
clips.
Something else I was
amazing.
going to just ask is, I want to build an ultra modern cinema. What's happening with National Arts Theatre? What's happening with a lot of our cultural centers? The usual thing is for us to build new things and not maintain the old. What's the guarantee that when we pump more money into these modern infrastructure, new infrastructure, they won't all end up like what we already have on ground?
I agree with you, Ayo. And just to add to the conversation, Why is the government even doing this? This is a private sector initiative. That is, in other countries, there's a private sector that drives projects like this. Now you're taking a loan, $500 million to do this. Who's going to repay it?
You.
Well,
Sanusi.
just one last thing for me. Based on what you said, sometimes governments do believe that they need a national TV station to push quite a number of things, aside from them being regulators. But for me, like I just said, the issue is just one thing: a maintenance culture.
Yes. As the caller says on WhatsApp, the call for the president to resign is not about being the right thing to do or not. It's about expressing the opinion of the people. The call reflects the minds of the people, and it is wrong to condemn people for calling on the people they voted for to resign if they feel he's not doing up to or meeting the expectations. The service chiefs do not report to the people. It is only the president that should. And then Benga all right, your comment noted. Femi Oluboji from Lasso says impeachment is not the only route to get a president or ruler out, but morality suggests that you can resign if there's a general discontentment. That's what happened in other same crimes. We all know this.
Okay, this is Max Zorin. Funny name. He says, "Why stop at the service chiefs? We could zero in on the brigadier generals prosecuting the war, or better still, hold responsible the heads of battalions." He's being sarcastic here. Now, the truth is, anyone, including the president, can be called on to resign. Whether he does so or not is up to him. Let's move on now to what is the shortest story in our pack today here from the New Telegraph. And Mr. C, this is for you. So, NAMA has completed the equipment calibration at the Lagos airport. Are you thinking of traveling anytime soon? Because you might be on schedule this time. The foreign airlines that before now diverted Lagos-bound air flights to Accra, which was quite a chore for anybody who was diverted to come back to Nigeria, and other places are now landing their planes following the calibration of the new acquired state-of-the-art Category 3 instrument landing system. Congratulations to it. Woohoo.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, because finally the foreign airlines can now land in Lagos and Abuja. The truth is, this didn't have to happen. We didn't need to get here. And in the last 2 weeks, we've been inundated with news about foreign airlines being unable to land in Nigeria, going to Accra. Some airlines have suspended flying to Nigeria until this is sorted out. Now, we're glad that finally this has been done. We hope that we never get back to this situation. And we hope that this Category 3 instrument landing system aid is taken to the other international airports. I'm speaking about Kano, and speaking about Port Harcourt, and speaking about Calabar, and speaking about Kaduna, because it is really embarrassing that foreign airlines cannot land in Nigeria. And it begs the question, and it's something the aviation authorities, regulatory authorities need to think about. They should be alive to their responsibilities.
Apparently, it didn't just affect people traveling from one spot to the other, because I placed an order for something from outside the country, and I was told that it can't come.
Yeah, even cargo planes.
Yeah.
they
I
can't
was
land.
like, why? They
They're
were
planes.
like, yeah, they can't land.
And they can
Yeah,
land,
they're
yeah.
planes.
I was shocked because this one now affected me. I was like, wow, okay, there we go.
So you can imagine how many other people they have.
Exactly. And not that they're traveling, but because, they can't get their cargo here.
So it's something they should have at the back of their minds, that at all times the facilities at the airport must be up to date. And the airport they're planning to build in Lekki, I hope they're going to start from Category 3.
And make arrangements for Category 4.
That's a very good point. All right, we have a comment from Devo. Devo says,
He says, "We the people say no to giving ministers of information 500 million naira. Government should never be in business," he says. That's our own niveau. "Create the enabling environment for private sector investment. However, we may allow 1% of that amount to send government to school. Ooh, to learn effective regulation. Ooh, drops mic. Ouch."
all right, thanks, Devo. Even out of the studio, you're still
It's still dropping. So
All right, let's move on to the next story here from Premium Times. Senator introduces bill to create agency for repentant Boko Haram members. Now, Mr. C, this was trending yesterday. A huge conversation, robust conversation around if it, for those who are for and those who are against. But basically, the story is that the Senate yesterday began deliberations on a bill that seeks to establish an agency that would see to the rehabilitation, de-radicalization and integration of repentant insurgents in the country. There's already a program like that going on in Gombe State. 608 repentant Boko Haram insurgents are currently undergoing this program, but now they're seeking to establish an agency just for that. Can you take us through this story?
Okay, so we're all aware of the Boko Haram menace and the damage it has wreaked on Nigeria and its economy.
Mm.
Now, the truth of the matter is we have a clear and present problem with what to do with Boko Haram insurgents
Mm.
who apparently are no longer interested in fighting.
Mhm.
So, yes, there's currently a program going on in Malam City in Gombe State where 608 insurgents are apparently undergoing some de-radicalization rehabilitation program where they're speaking to drug and psychotherapists. They're being taught Islamic religious knowledge and being taught how to read and write and some form of skills acquisition. Now, the bill in itself on paper is not bad, but there are a few questions we need to ask ourselves. One, how did we determine for certain that these guys are truly repentant and have no intention of ever going back to fight?
Boom.
It's not stated here. We don't know what criteria they're using. We don't know what methodology they're using, because it's also possible that some of these guys are pretending to be
Open to
repentant,
infiltration.
then be sent back into society
Mhm.
where they can then relay information back to Boko Haram. But beyond that, let us even assume they're truly repentant. What form of counseling are they receiving? Because someone who's been exposed to the horrors of insurgency and some of the things they do in the camps, it will take a period of time to reset his mind and the way he thinks. What type of counselors are being sent there? Are they counselors that can get the job done? Do they even understand the people they're interacting with?
I also assume that it would, I mean, for you to get that job or to be given that project, you would have gone through a process to ascertain your eligibility and capacity to do so. So,
In an ideal society, you're very correct. Nigeria is
Not an
different.
ideal society.
Nigeria is different. Now, beyond that, when you reintegrate these guys back into society, what precisely are they supposed to be doing? Take the militants under Jonathan, the Jonathan Yadua regime.
yeah.
They were rehabilitated, they were taught skills they could use in society. Most of them are in the oil and gas industry now, they're welders and technicians and subsea divers. They learned skills they could use, so they now earn incomes and they provide hope to their relatives and beyond. These guys here, I don't know what sort of skills they're being taught and how those skills will help them survive when they come back into society. Because the Nigerian system, the Nigerian society is very harsh. Even for regular prisoners who go to prison, how about they find it hard being rehabilitated, reintegrated into society.
Thank you. You made a point before we came on air, and very valid point, that what are they trained, or what kind of system are they coming into? So we have a high rate of unemployment. We don't have jobs. The issues or the circumstances that made them susceptible to being radicalized in the first place haven't been dealt with.
Yes.
So you can put them through a process, but after the process, what next? And
Okay.
that's the question that people are asking.
Yeah, because more importantly, they go through the program, everything's okay. They enter society, first month, second month, 6 months, no job, they're not getting money. Meanwhile, they still have friends there, and their friends are earning money every day.
Or they will have memories
Yes,
of what
so
they enjoyed.
they'll be
doing.
tempted that, look,
Um,
is this what I came out for? That it makes
That's
no
better
sense.
off from before.
So they go back.
All right, thank you very much. A number of reactions. Principle of cause and effect, says Opemi Praise. Boko Haram is an effect. The cause is, he says, Al-Majiri. We'll be getting to that story today, actually.
Emeka from Amulu says, we're crying the US gave us a visa restriction for this, yet we are creating agencies for repentant terrorists. We're jokers, he says.
And then Tai from Yaba says, to the direct and indirect victims of this insurgency, Nigeria has failed you. Gerardi, what? Shame is like a garment these politicians are done for us to see. So again, talking about how would the people who have been affected by these insurgents feel?
And a message here says, hi, Kayode and Ayo.
Hi, Kaide.
Deeper voice, deeper voice. I think the Minister of Information is more interested in controlling information dissemination, suppressing public opinion, this is his opinion, by the way, than solving real problems. He has focused on fake news for a while now, even when he's more guilty of it. Now he's deciding to go for state-of-the-art infrastructure with taxpayers' money, misplaced priorities. Enyina
Aina.
Aina. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Aina. And we'll move on to our next story.
Let's move on to our next story here, which will presuppose that we'll have some change in our pockets very soon because the Central Bank of Nigeria has returned over 60 billion naira excess bank charges to customers. Uwade, did you receive any spare change?
I didn't complain to the CBN.
Well, they're saying this is because the Consumer Protection Department of the bank has been at work and they have what they termed illegal charges have been returned to customers. The central bank on Thursday said it had so far recovered this 60 billion naira from erring banks as excessive charges imposed on customers. There's been many of these, will I say, cut downs regarding the charges that we've been spending on maybe POS terminals or ATMs. And so. Are those what they're referring to, or these are totally different
Well,
charges?
part of it, some of these charges are double charges on transactions, excess charges based on the CBN guidelines for charges for those kind of transactions, and for me, I think this is laudable. The people who have been successful in getting back some of this change should applaud the CBN. I hope it would go on and on because there are a number of things that go on in terms of charges on your accounts. But the other thing I would also say, one of the things is if you don't make this known to the CBN, then you probably don't expect anything to come to you. So if you feel that you have been shortchanged by the banks, then you must cry out, and the more we cry out, the better the system becomes, and that's it. The other part of it is the CBN saying that it's going to create 10 million jobs over the next 5 years in areas of agriculture, investment support in agriculture using the commodity models. I am always very careful about the CBN going into real-time commercial banking, which is what I see this as. I may be wrong, but that's what I think it is. They've tried this agric system with the commercial banks, and it still didn't work properly. The other thing for me about this is 10 million jobs. How do you really intend to create it? Do you understand the models properly in the agricultural sector for you to do this? They said something about an example of creating about 1 million jobs using the cassava system model, for instance. There's a lot of things that go into this. Our focus in Nigeria is so much on for me, is so much on the farmer. And today, the general gist is all the rice farmers are turned into millionaires. But the people who run that value chain, exactly what have they done? They should be transparent in putting out this policy and let everybody read it and see how they can benefit from it. But I think it is a laudable project.
Thank you very much. By the way, if you'd like to make a report to the central bank after making a report to your bank, it's cpd@cbn.gov.ng. Again, that's cpd@cbn.gov.ng. Their response rate has been said to be quite good. So
Right, thank you very much for that information. I didn't think of that. Nice. All right, we have information here. 87% of poverty in Nigeria is from the north. Creating such agencies will not eliminate illiteracy, which will not eliminate illiteracy, which is the main problem in the north. There's no name to that one, however. So
all right.
Leave your name so we can tell.
Thank you very much. Now let's move on to the Vanguard. Not short, but gives a detail of the judgment. Vanguard reports that Unilag ex-lecturer jailed 21 years for raping admission seeker. Can you please take us through this story, Mr. C?
Okay, so if we all recall, sometime in 2015, the accused person was allegedly raped a young lady who was seeking admission into University of Lagos. And incidentally, he was a friend of her father.
Oh dear.
Now, when the story broke, he denied it and claimed that the rape victim was his girlfriend. Sometime on the 18th of October 2016, he was arraigned on a one-count charge of rape. The trial has dragged on till now, and judgment was delivered yesterday, and the court did find him guilty, saying that taking the preponderance of evidence before it, including the medical report and then the accounts given by him and the victim, it is clear that he raped her. And the judge did point out that the testimony he gave in court was widely different from the testimony he gave at the police station, and that it was unfair for him to have misrepresented to the father of the victim that he worked with Unilag when in fact he was not a direct employee. He worked at a distance learning center, and he had no power to ensure that she got admission, and he took advantage of her. So he's been jailed for 21 years.
All right. His name is Barua Afiz.
Afiz
Hakim.
Barua.
Yes.
No, I deliberately try not to name anyone, but now he's a convict because the High Court has said so, pending the outcome of any appeal.
Yeah. His
He's
name
been
is
convicted.
mentioned.
Yeah,
in this
I know
article.
his name is mentioned, but I specifically chose not to name the victim.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. C. Let's move on to our next story very quickly. Almajiri, Sanusi seeks arrest of street children's fathers. So, former governor of Central Bank of Nigeria and now the Emir of Kano, His Royal Highness Lamido Sanusi, has advocated the enactment of laws by state governments criminalizing indiscriminate breeding of children and leaving them to roam the streets begging for alms. Now, a number of people have a lot to say about our Almajiri children. We talk about them, sometimes we joke about it, but it's a serious issue, and that we need to pay serious attention to this. He's coming out to speak about this, which is great. But Wade, please tell us what he's proposing and what you think about it.
Well, I will be brief in this on this, but I tend to agree with him because for me, I think it's a breach of the children's fundamental human rights by bringing them into the world and you don't look after them. But like I said, I think the government should actually pass a law, and any child who is found roaming the streets and cannot be accounted for properly by the parents, then they should take them into custody and create a system for them where they can get some form of basic education. And let me leave it at that because it's a very touchy topic. But like I said, you don't bring children into the world if you know you're not going to cater for them. But some of these things are done, and it's also a source of income for those
culture.
families.
It's
Culture, and it's also something that they see as bringing in some form of money or arms through these children begging on the streets.
Right, thank you very much. We have our final story here. I didn't forge my certificates. Sacked Bayelsa Deputy Governor-elect says. The sacked All Progressives Congress Deputy Governor-elect in Bayelsa State, Senator Biobara Kuma Degi Eremienyo, said yesterday that he did not forge any of his certificates, and he tells us why. Mr. C, please tell us why he said he didn't forge the certificates.
Well, what he said he didn't forge them, and he didn't give any reason. What he merely said was that some of his primary school teachers were alive. They knew when he was attending the school, and that they supposedly can attest to his primary school certificate, and that his classmates from secondary school are still alive, and they can attest to the fact that he attended secondary school and he has a certificate. Now, the question is this. The Supreme Court found a massive disconnect between the certificate he presented as evidence of educational qualifications and his identity as a human being. And he was unable to satisfy them even with the affidavit of change of name that he was the person that owned all those certificates. So this is a little bit late because when he had the opportunity to do so, he did not take the opportunity. You can't campaign after the election.
I was going to ask that, why didn't you bring the school teachers to the court as witnesses?
No. The school teachers you can attend the school without getting a certificate, are you? So the fact that you attended school does not mean you passed the exams. The certificate is the proof that you passed the exams you sat for.
And one of the things, just one last thing on that, one of the things that we should remember, and going through school, there is a certificate that is issued to you, not from the school, even from primary school. It's called a living certificate. It's issued by the state government. The same thing goes with your WAEC, and the only one that is issued by the school is the university.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I think that's our last story for today.
Yes.
And if you joined in halfway or at the end, you can always catch up on YouTube where it's streaming live at the moment. So do feel free to do that. Thank you very much, Wiley. Thank you very much, Mr. C. Looking forward to seeing you guys again next week. I heard Mr. C advocating that he wanted Mondays now and also Fridays. You're getting a bit too much of this. You're enjoying it too much, aren't you? Well, Lagos, thank you for being a part of the show. Do stay tuned. We have more coming your way inside of Friday edition here with Ayo and Mazino all the way till 10 o'clock. Alrighty. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Yeah, I
Thank
saw
you
that.
very much.
The minister in South Africa who said he only took the husband
Minister
to
in South
Geneva, that
Africa
he didn't go to
was
Switzerland.
accused of using state funds to take herself and her husband to Switzerland, right? So she says, I've never been to Switzerland. My husband has never been to Switzerland. We only went to Geneva.
And a potato. It's
Exactly. So
Switzerland, they said.
what you're charging me for?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just goes to show.